everyone. This is Marcia Warfel, and I'm here to talk to you about Pakistan and its disaster management system. Pakistan is a nation that's prone to disaster, to many natural disasters, everything from flooding, earthquakes, cyclone, droughts, landslides, avalanches, all have happened in this very unlucky developing country. What makes matters worse is that it doesn't have an emergency management system. Pakistan treats disaster very ad hoc and is unprepared to deal with them once it happens. It focuses primarily on a top-down or bottom-up approach. It's a very confused system. Many outside agencies and international groups help this developed country, or developing country of Pakistan. Pakistan, as you know, is a third world country, and it has very few resources to help with these large scale disasters. It really does need steps to mitigate some of these disasters and strengthen its emergency management system. As I mentioned, Pakistan is a very diverse disaster climate, very similar to ours. In 2006, in 2005, after a large earthquake, President of Pakistan developed what's called the National Disaster Management Authority. And it was basically, his attempt to try to establish a disaster management system, very similar to our attempt when we started our emergency management system. Unfortunately, it was met with many challenges: financial crisis, bureaucratic red tape, communications were poor, and no real functioning system, which was also very similar to when we started our very own emergency management system here in the United States. That was also met with financial insecurity and bureaucratic red tape. A good example of that would be Katrina. After 2010, a large flooding event, which you'll see behind me, as well as the National Disaster Management Authority system, which you'll also see behind me, Pakistan received a lot of financial assistance from numerous international organizations, very similar to what we receive when we're focusing on disaster from non-governmental organizations. We, although, have a system in place where we do work with agencies. Unfortunately, Pakistan does not, which, as I mentioned before, makes it very difficult to provide assistance or have that coordination body. The U.S. even also was one of the ones who provided assistance to Pakistan through military support and U.S. aid assistance, similar to our Emergency Management Assistance Compact. Its military system is very involved in Pakistan, helping with everything from training to equipment to everything else, very similar to ours here in the United States, how the National Guard also helps with personnel, equipment, and training and supplies. After this large-scale disaster event, which is behind me, you'll see that 12 million people were affected, and all resources were expended from Pakistan, as well as even strained from the international community. And it just met with failing support from those that were impacted, very similar to our event here in Katrina. In conclusion, I would say that Pakistan is a developing country that has very limited resources to cope with these large-scale disasters that it meets very frequently. It needs to take steps to reduce its exposure and vulnerability and mitigate some of these disasters and try to prepare more effectively in the future. It needs to really develop a disaster management system. While Pakistan needs for governance, and hopefully it takes into consideration that there is a need and that it does require funding and their political will and coordination efforts from all involved. Most of the focus, as I said, was on an unprepared response, and hopefully through these events and experiences they have learned to provide some more efforts in the future. There just needs to be a substantial effort to help restoring its economy and its welfare to health and shelter and the well-being of its people in this country for future disasters. Hopefully, this could be done through training and support from all those involved, the military, the government, and of course its citizens. Thank you, and hope this helped.